Hello, namaste. We will be talking this week about the first of the 10 yamas. Yamas and niyamas are the most fundamental practices of yoga. Without these, we're not really practicing yoga. These are the requisite steps, essential requisite steps so that we can have some success in our higher practices of yoga. Really, if you want to advance your practice of yoga, you've got to be practicing all 10 yamas and niyamas. You don't have to be perfect at them, you're practicing them. And so we're going to talk in the next weeks here on the weekly Sangha. Join us for the talks on the Sangha. Join us if you can on the Patreon. We need support to help cover our bills as we're shifting from this property to another property. We're not allowed to be doing public events here. As a Hindu organization, that's not been allowed in this locality. And so we need your support so we can get to another locality where we may be allowed to do the Hindu practices here in the USA. Unfortunately, it's not always that easy for Hindu organizations to get permits to operate legally in the USA. And so we need your support. Join us on Patreon for even more teachings and information. And join us weekly for these teachings to learn how to deepen your practice of yoga. And I don't mean doing the asanas when I say yoga. I mean the traditional practice of yoga, which is the mantra, japa, meditation, pranayama, the higher practices of yoga. But none of it will have any benefit. Without these basic practices, none of it will have its real benefits. And so first let's define yama. Yama means, in Sanskrit, yama means control or restraint. Lord Yama, the Lord of Death, he has control of our fate. That's why they call him Yama. He has control. We don't have control. Maybe there's some austerities we can perform, some tapasya to increase the lifespan a little bit of the physical body. In Ayurveda, we have kaya kalpa practice, by which the yogis do this, and they can increase the lifespan maybe 10 years. But even then, the body is not meant to last forever. In the physical body, we don't live forever. We live forever if we can identify with the soul. The soul persists forever. Even Adi Shankaracharya left his body because he was not done with the teachings, and he came into someone else's body. Recently deceased young man. He took some time, a month, several months. He worked out the karmas of that soul. He was back in his higher spiritual awareness and kept on with his mission and his teachings. He did a lot of work to preserve Sanatana Dharma. In the time, there was a lot of foreign influence causing a lot of threat to the faith. And that's influenced a lot of the way that we all practice now. And people will say wrongly that yoga is a practice that's not a part of the Hinduism. But all the yoga texts, if you look at these early yoga texts, Yoga Sutras, Hatha Yoga, Pradipika, all these texts, they don't talk in these terms of yoga is beyond religion. They say we must humble ourselves to God, and they don't say God. They use words like Ishvara. Ishvara, which is a name of Shiva. These are not just Hindu people. These were Shaiva Hindus. There are many names of the Lord. We could use a word like Bhagavan. And Bhagavan could be Bhagavan Vishnu, Bhagavan Krishna, Bhagavan Shiva, Bhagavan Rudra, Bhagavati. Could even be the goddess. It would change the ending. But Ishvara, this name is only used for Shiva. That's not a mistake. Not a mistake, not a coincidence. So the Shaiva Hindu tradition gave us the practice of yoga. And most fundamental is not to say it's not applicable to other traditions, and other traditions follow a lot of these same Yama Niyama. But the most fundamental, the first Yama, first restraint is Ahimsa. We've got to restrain ourselves from Himsa, harm. We can't be harming others and expect that we're going to be practicing yoga. This is very important. This is crucial. If we do just this one practice perfectly, we will attain samadhi. Yet if we're not doing this practice, if we're harming others, we're creating karma. We're creating subconscious dross in our mind. Obstacles are coming there to us seeing clearly, because we'll get guilt. We get feelings of fear, like we're going to have the harm come back to us. In a higher sense, in yoga, the self permeates the entire universe. The self is not the body. Self is not the mind. Self is not the jiva, the embodied soul. The self is the atma, which is pervading throughout the universe. The atma in you, in me, is the atma in everyone else, in our family, in our loved ones, in our enemies. It's the same. When we look at the physical body, sure, there seems to be a separation between one person and another person. When we look at the emotions, there's not as much separation. One person starts laughing, everyone starts laughing. They could laugh for no reason. You don't even know why they're laughing, and that laughing is contagious because you feel their emotion of joy and happiness and laughter. Happiness is contagious, and sadness is contagious, and anger is contagious. We're influenced by the thoughts of others around us because we can feel them. Even though they're not in our body feeling that, we're not in their body. The thoughts go out. It's an energy wave that goes out. It's projected. And so we can feel it. On that level even, there's less separation. But on the level of the soul, on the level of the prana, the life force, the life breath, prana comes from the sun, they say. And the plants absorb that sunlight, and they transform it through photosynthesis into some nutrients that we can use, and in Ayurveda we call that prana. Life force, the nutritive substance in the food is prana. And only the plants and the great yogis can transform that life force from the sun into something that can nourish human life. So the plants have a great role in creation, that they nourish us. They collect the prana from the sun and they feed us. So the prana in the plants is the same as the prana in the animals. It's the life breath. And the life of all the people and the animals and the plants is the same as the prana in the sun. It's the life of God. On that higher level, there's no separation. So we think of it this way. The instinct to harm comes from delusion of separation. Can you hand me this hammer here? Delusion of separation, if you ever want to harm someone, because you're deluded. Thank you. And so think of it this way. You don't want to harm yourself, right? Why? Because you think it's yourself. You know you'll feel that pain. And we do feel the pain of others if we pay really close attention. When you get in subtler levels of consciousness, you'll feel the pain of others around you. You walk into a room and see people suffering and you can't bear it. This is how the yogis are. They want to ease suffering everywhere because their awareness is subtle. Our awareness will never get subtle if we're stuck in this delusion and giving strength to the delusion. If someone annoys you, If someone causes you pain, if someone hits you in your face and it hurts you, and what is the instinct from the ego level, from this duality consciousness? It's to attack that person, to push them away, to do them some harm, because we think we're separate. Yoga teaches us we're all the same, right? Yoga shows us we're all the same, but how will we ever see if we're holding on to the delusion by hurting others? We can't. I've seen people that they have trauma in their past. They have pain, they have suffering, and they're carrying it with them. And they can't do normal things that other people do. I'm talking people who had gone to war, and they have the post-traumatic stress of war, people who've suffered from intense physical abuse as children or intense sexual abuse. And these people, they've developed a language and terminologies, and they say, oh, I'm a victim. I was abused. They say, oh, this thing triggers me. I can't do this. I've seen people, they can't even watch a movie. They can't work a job. They can't go out in public. They can't be around people because they have unresolved trauma. And I've seen these people. Some of them, they want to heal from it. They have so much anger at the people who abused them. I can think of several people that they've paid many, many thousands of dollars on remedies. They've gone to astrologers. They've had yajnams done for days with many priests doing the yajnam ceremonies, the healing fire ceremonies. They've gone to Western healers, New Age healers. They've gone to tarot card readers and psychics and channelers and mediums and shamans, and they've gone to all kinds of priests and pundits and purohits and all swamis and people, and they go and get the blessings of all the gurujis. And nothing is helping, though they're paying thousands of dollars and physically they're doing so much. Why? Because they can't let go of the anger in their heart. They refuse. I've gone to several of those people and I say, okay, well, do you have any anger toward your abuser? And they, yes, it's bad what they did. I saw that bad man got put into jail, etc., etc. They can't let it go. I say, well, why don't you just forgive them? It doesn't hurt them. He's in jail already. Maybe you protected some other people, from the same abuse that he's doing. Maybe no one will suffer after you because they've stopped him. They incarcerated him. They say, no. I've got to remain angry because it was bad what they did. That's the problem. When a person gives up that anger, then what is there? The ego starts to fade away. And then the person's left with their feelings of sadness, their feelings of fear, and their feelings of anger toward themselves for putting themselves into that situation, for not finding a way out of it. And that may be justified, it may not be justified, but people have all these feelings and it's too hard for them to face. So they maintain the anger and therefore they can't heal no matter what they do. If we continue to harm other people, we can't really be practicing yoga, and we can't start to see that we are the same because we're going against the instinct of the awakened soul. We're giving power to the instinct of the ego. So if you're hammering with the hammer, and they hit your thumb, bam, with the hammer, and it hurts, you feel the pain throbbing in your thumb. What do? Do you hit it again in anger because it's causing you the pain? Do you try to cut off the thumb? No, because you view it as a part of yourself. And so it's in this way that we weaken our practice of yoga. We give strength to the egoism, that all the delusion arises from there. We have the sense we're limited. We have the sense we're separate. We've got to cut off that sense that we're limited, that we're separate. We've got to look to everyone as if they are the same as us. They are worthy of love. What do we do when we hit the thumb and it's hurt, it throbs, it causes us pain? We try to soothe that pain. If you burn your thumb, you'll go and put the cool water on it to soothe the pain. If it's throbbing, if it's bleeding, you put a Band-Aid. If it's throbbing, you just sit and oh, it's okay, it's okay. Just like a mother goes to a child who's crying because they hurt themselves. Oh, it's okay, sweetheart. It's okay, honey. It's okay, child. My child, it's okay. We've got to be like this toward everybody. Even if we're feeling annoyed, that's a blessing. Even if we're feeling pain, that's a blessing. It's showing us our karma. It's showing us our attachments. Why would we be annoyed? Why would we be angry? There's no reason to be angry. Someone could come and steal things from you. You have no right, no reason to be angry. They could come and physically attack you. You have no right to be angry. It comes from delusion. We get angry when we see people doing things that we might do under some circumstances, or maybe that we are doing, and we have trouble to face that potential. We've got to realize that that's a blessing when we feel that anger, and not act out of hatred, but to act out of love, to act out of patience, to act out of compassion. If we can't do that, separate yourself and go release the anger, process it, breathe deeply. You can't stay angry long if you just take deep breaths. This is the secret of pranayama. Now that you've restrained yourself, now that you've done the yama of non-violence, ahimsa, it will empower your pranayama practice. Once you've stepped away, rather than doing something in anger, you've empowered your pranayama practice. And as you breathe in, love and peace comes. And as you breathe out, you release all the tension. You release the anger. It will pass very quickly under those circumstances because you've empowered that practice. This is exactly how it works. By the practice of yama, the practice of nonviolence. So our nonviolence, we can't just try not to hurt people physically. I don't mean don't hit someone with a hammer when I say nonviolence. It's got to be in our action, in our speech, and in our thinking. We shouldn't say bad things about people. We shouldn't say insulting things about people. We should say things to build people up. We shouldn't say it whether they're there or they're not there. It can affect someone energetically to say something bad about them behind their back. There's no need to focus on the faults of people. So many times people come to me and they say, oh, is this a good teacher? Is this a good guru? Should I go to this guru to receive the teachings? I just won't say anything. I say, not my job to say anything. Someone came and asked me one time, there was one guru I knew, he was sexually abusing people. And someone came to me and they said, oh, is this a good guru? Should I go to this guru? What do you think? I said, I don't know. I don't know anything about this. Not my job. It's not my job to point out the faults in other people. Not my job to warn people and save people necessarily. Out of compassion, I could say, oh, well, this is a good teaching. I like this teaching, but ultimately people may or may not listen to you anyway. There's no need to say anything bad about anyone, unless it's urgent, unless it's very important. Same way, you don't need to complain about anything unless it's very important. But even in your thoughts, you shouldn't have the anger. If someone's opposing you, they're insulting you, they're doing you harm, even then you shouldn't have the bad thoughts. You shouldn't have the angry thoughts. And this doesn't mean that you have to visualize and desire to hit them with the hammer, even just to have the thought that that's a bad person. That's harmful. You have to have the subtler awareness. Of course, everyone knows the vegetarian diet is important if we're practicing nonviolence. For most people, unless a person is very, very sick, we do not need meat to live. We may need a little bit of dairy. Try to find good ethical sources for that. It's hard in the USA to find that, but try the best you can. We need vegetables to live. You have to maybe pull up a carrot. But you'll harm that carrot less than you're harming a cow or a fish or a chicken when you kill it. You can convince a carrot, if you talk to it, to let you to eat it. You You say, I need nourishment, please can I eat you? The carrot will feel good about doing that, if you ask. Maybe not when you pull it out of the ground, it may be screaming, ah! If you say, thank you for your sacrifice, please, may I eat you, I need the nourishment, then the plants are very self-sacrificing. There's a lot we can learn from the plants if we pay attention like that. This is one reason we do bhojana mantras and chant before we're eating food, is to give thanks to the plants for their sacrifice. They can become happy. No chicken is going to become happy. No chicken is generally going to go and just lay its head on the chopping block for you to chop the head. The chicken is going to be running away and crying and screaming. And the nervous system of the chicken is more developed. The pain is a more intense experience for the chicken, because the chicken is more bound to the body and has more nervous system, more brain. Not as much as a person. People will say it's evil to eat another human being, but then it's okay to eat all the animals. Either way, we're causing harm. One is not better, one is not worse. Either way, we're causing harm. We try to reduce it. We try to minimize the harm. Vegetarian diet is very important because it minimizes harm to the environment as well. It's essential. If you're not eating a vegetarian diet and you say you're a yogi or you're practicing yoga or you're a yogini, you're not. This is the most fundamental practice in yoga. The most fundamental practice without which we cannot have any success in any of the subsequent practices, generally speaking. As we start, it's very important to eat a complete vegetarian diet. We can eat some dairy. We may need that. But we should minimize harm in every way possible. If you're walking and there's two paths you can choose, and one path is the pavement, and one path is the grass, the yogi would choose the pavement, because as you walk on the grass, you crush the blades of grass. That will cause some pain and they'll be screaming, and when your awareness gets subtler, you can feel that. We've got to think, and I have a lot of respect and admiration for the Jains who are sweeping before they walk so they don't step on even a bug, and who wear the face mask even when it's not COVID out there so that the fly doesn't go in their face and go in their mouth and die. This is the serious practice of Ahimsa. And we don't want to become fanatical, we don't want to become crazy about it, but there's a lot we can do that we're not doing. We need to become more mindful, and even for people who are practicing it, we can deepen our practice of Ahimsa, non-violence, by becoming more mindful of the little thoughts in our mind, more mindful of the hurtful words we inadvertently say or we intentionally say out of hurt, out of pain, more mindful of the things we're doing. If someone's practicing yoga, hopefully they're not out there beating people, hitting people, fighting with people physically. But we need to do it on a subtler level. And it deepens our practice. Whatever level you're at, take it up a step now. You can do that. Think of the way that you can expand your practice of non-violence. You don't have to be perfect. If you're eating all meat, then do away with the beef. Do away with the pork or something. Step by step by step. As we see the gradual little benefit from one step, we can go a step further. Don't overwhelm yourself by trying to do too much today. But practice just little. And as we experience the benefits, it becomes easier to do more practice. And we want to do more practice. It becomes second nature to do it. And as we do that, we open ourselves to the experience that, yes, we can feel the pain of the grass blades as we step on it. We can feel the pain of the animal if we eat it. We can feel the pain of the person on YouTube if we put a thumbs down on their video. We can feel this. So don't put a thumbs down on this is great teaching for YouTube, because YouTube has a thumbs up, thumbs down, and we always see on videos a lot of thumbs up, a lot of thumbs down. We as yogis should never put the thumbs down. If there's a need, make a comment, serious comment in a respectful way, loving way, compassionate way. Don't put a thumbs down, there's no need. All we know about these thumbs down people, we don't know that that's a bad video. We know these people are feeling bad about themselves, projecting these bad feelings onto the world around them. Put a thumbs up. And that's a practice you can do. If you've done some harm, undo it by doing good things. If you put a thumbs down on somebody's video, go back to their YouTube channel and put 10, 20, 30, 40 thumbs up on all their other videos. Counterbalance that. And we have to do extra for ourselves so we can forgive ourselves, and for other people also. Because if you say 10 good things, 10 compliments to a person, and say one little insult, it's just the human mind will focus on that insult. It will forget all about those 10 compliments, and it will remember that insult, and it will bite into them. That's why it takes 10, 20, 100 compliments to undo an insult. 20 acts of random kindness to undo one explosive comment. So we've got to be very careful. We've got to watch ourselves. We become mindful. We make amends. We can go and apologize. And we can do good things to undo the bad we did. As we do, we forgive ourselves and we become free from this deluded state that we are separate, that we can't experience what others are experiencing, that we can't feel their feelings, that we can't have empathy, that we can't see that we are one with them. This is the mystical truth. This is the teaching of yoga. We are one with everyone else out there. So if you're saying bad things about other people, you're opposing them, you're criticizing them, you're not practicing yoga. You've got to get out of politics. You've got to get out of criticizing people. You've got to get out of judging people to be a yogi. The yogi doesn't judge. The yogi goes within. Maybe the yogi judges himself and then does things to make amends, to work things out. But seeing all the faults in himself, he can't judge anyone else. He can't criticize. The perfection of the world is something we can't criticize. We can't judge. We can't complain. We can't resist. We just have to adore it. It's so hard to do because we're caught in this delusion. So let's free ourselves by practicing the yama, the restraint of ahimsa. Restrain ourselves from harming anything, anywhere, even a rock. We can't say this inanimate sofa, I can hit it all I want, this chair, because it doesn't feel any pain. It does. We inflict the least harm that we possibly can, and we help everywhere that we can. That's that practice. Very powerful. If we do just that, our yoga practice will definitely become way, way, way advanced. Om.